It's 7 a.m. I was taking a shower and I went to get my bath towel and there's a bat on it. What the heck? Do you see that? I know it's probably not gonna hurt me, but I'm afraid to pick the towel up. This is before my morning coffee, mind you. Oh crap. My plan failed. Why won't he fly away? Poor little guy. Guess I'll just leave him here. Look at him, he has like a little nose and little ears like a dog. Jesse's never gonna believe this. He's gone. And he pooped on my towel, dang it. You ready to hear what happened to me this morning?
I'm trying to figure it out.
You won't guess it.
Really?
You borderline wouldn't believe me unless I had footage to prove it.
Really? So you were rolling a camera when it happened?
Oh no, I wasn't rolling a camera.
Oh. Okay, tell me.
I got the camera after the fact. So I was taking a shower and I got out and I grabbed my towel and I like flipped the towel back as you grab it and there was like a big wad of something on there and I was like, what the heck is that? It was dark. Then I figured it out. It was a freaking bat. There's a bat on my bath towel. Right? Would you believe me?
That will make
And I was naked.
There's only one thing in this world.
And I'm trapped in a tiny room with it, so I'm borderline about to freak out.
So where's the bat at?
Well, I took him outside.
Oh, you took him outside?
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice of you. My goodness. Poor bat. It must have got in when the door was open last night for a minute or something.
No, I don't know, but the light was on in the bathroom all night, so I'm really shocked he went in there.
You know, it's so funny you say that because I think he was upstairs.
Really?
Because I went to bed.
Makes sense.
Well, I don't know this. I went to bed and I saw something kind of like, it seemed like it flew by the window.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe just a car went by or something. And like, you know how kind of the shadows kind of go like this or whatever. And I don't know, maybe it was the bat. I don't know. And you know what he probably did was went for the light. Actually, you know what he did was he went for the bugs.
Oh, because the light's on in there.
Yeah, because that doggone bathroom, we leave the light on in there, and if there's any bugs in here at all, they all find the bathroom. So he's probably in there having a smorgasbord till this morning. When you like scared the bejesus out of him. He was probably sleeping.
Yeah, so let me show you this footage.
Oh, what's with the creepy footage?
There's him after the towel came down.
Oh my gosh, the poor guy. He's not having a good day. Bloosh.
Go. And then I grabbed it and I ran.
Yeah, you did. Look at that. Oh, wow, he's a good looking bat.
He's kind of cute.
Yeah, he's kind of cute and furry. I think the movies are to blame for the bad rap of bats. Well, Alyssa, bless her heart, thought that the bat flew away, but she came outside to grab the bath mat and the poor bat flew out of the bath mat. So we put him in this tree over here, hoping that he would survive the heat from today and make it through the day. He doesn't look injured. I think he's just kind of out of sorts because it's daytime and he's a bat. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, there he is. He's still there. Well, hopefully he makes it through the day. We put him in a nice, cool, shady spot. And hopefully we come back this evening and he's gone doing whatever bats do at night. Probably eating bugs or, I don't know, playing bat poker or something. 32, 34, 36, 37. 37 outlets. Wow. Add in with 3 GFIs too. Man, my fingers are already starting to hurt, guys. I've been humping on these outlets for a while. I did quite a few before bed last night because it's just busy work. And, well, the back end of putting a lot of outlets in is you have a lot of outlets to put in. I did get the GFI replaced from yesterday that I had forgotten about. That's done. We got the east wall pretty much wired up. We will have to flip the breaker and stuff to get that completely done. We'll talk about that later probably. Otherwise, all the outlets are in the ceiling, all the outlets are in the walls, and we've got outlets at the garage door openers. So that's all done. Kind of under the gun, I went ahead and scheduled our electrical inspection. If you haven't been following us, this is the first video that you're watching. Jump back, it's probably like, well, we'll link to it. We're working on the garage electrical, and hold on, let me turn this fan off. It'll be more enjoyable to talk. I feel like I'm yelling. There we go. All right, working on the garage electrical. We've done a lot of work to get to this point. We've done the wall boxes, the ceiling boxes, we hot knifed. We spent an entire 8-hour day dealing with the SIPs and getting wire pulled through there for the exterior lights and for the 3-way switches inside. We also have an outlet down below, and spent quite a bit of time just running wire and daisy chaining outlets together, pulling home runs. Wow. One guy, this project looks like it's gonna take me a total of a week, but granted, I'm filming. So if you're gonna judge me, film it, then judge. Today I've got a pretty good list of stuff to get done. I'm kind of under the gun, like I said just a second ago, because we went ahead and scheduled our electrical inspection. The way that works is, this is a state thing. So there's some confusion out there about whether we have building codes here or not, and the answer is we do not. We do not have building codes, but I think the lay person doesn't understand that there are many portions to construction. And so there's electrical, there's plumbing, HVAC, and then there's building. And the first 3, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, are not a local municipality jurisdiction. That's something that's handled by the state. So we are subject to those. And granted, there are a lot of people in this area who build and don't tell anybody. You know, we're not going to argue with that. Alyssa and I are trying really hard to build the house that we feel is right. And so we're kind of relying on code and the inspections and all that stuff to help us make sure that we're building it properly, or at least that we're not making any gross mistakes. So we have an inspection coming up, and the way that works is they come to our area twice a week. So what I'd like to do is get the first inspection the first time they come. If we fail or there's some other issue, get that rectified and then have them come right back. That way we can get this signed off and we're ready to start using it. We've been using extension cords quite a bit through the house because the electrical that we had set up was done so to kind of just get us by. So we've been walking over a lot of these electrical cords for going on 7 months now. They're not all gonna go away, but it sure is gonna be nice to have less of them on the floor, at least here in the garage. So here's the to-do list. We basically need to start over here and work our way down. The switches getting installed is going to be somewhat tedious. There's just a lot of wires, and making sure they get hooked up correctly is super important. One thing that is required by code, and it makes sense, is that we need to secure the wire outside of the box. There's a rule for single gang boxes, it's 8 inches. Within 8 inches of the box, and double gang, it's 12 inches of the box. So we actually got all the sealing done. So let's check that off. Those are all secure. So we need to do the walls. That's a bit of a process because we have to go into the concrete. The outlets installed, the ceiling walls. So these are done. Ceiling's done, walls are done. Stairs is done. We just have one there. So we only have the entry left to do. And then we need to install the exterior light boxes. So a bit of a hump to get through today, but I think we can get it all done. And if we do, we're gonna land the home runs, and hopefully everything is wired up correctly and the GFI breakers that we installed don't have any problems. We this will be an interesting thing for Alyssa and I to have technology in this house. We actually had kind of a conversation the other day about the dilemma, I think, because while we use technology because we live in the modern era, we're not so much invested in technology that we want everything to be automated and have all this stuff. And part of the things that we're considering with building this house is maybe not what we would want, but if we were to sell the house, what would someone else want? So this switch right here is actually just a regular single pole light switch that has Wi-Fi, and we can operate it through a smartphone, and we can also operate it from anywhere. So there's actually good sound logic for this switch. Here at the exterior door, we have a light switch for the exterior lights. And in an ideal world, something someone shared with us on social media, and I think there's a lot of really good thinking behind it, was to put a switch for those lights upstairs. That way, if you forget and leave the lights on or whatever, you don't have to walk all the way down here to flip that switch, because statistically, you're not going to, because we're lazy. So, in putting a three-way switch though, we'd have to add more wire, and we'd have to route it through all the SIPs and up to the floor and find a spot upstairs, and it just becomes extremely complicated. The lights that we chose for outside are dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn censored. So statistically we shouldn't have to really use this switch a lot. We'll just leave it on. But if we need to, it'd be a lot easier to operate it from your phone, or better yet, like an iPad that's centrally located in the house. This technology's, come a long way for sure, and we're willing to give it a try. So at that switch location, we have room for a regular switch. I did purchase the three-way version of this switch. My thinking for this one is actually for the stairs. I'm just going to test it there. But this one allows you to have two locations with a physical switch. So you can still have a physical three-way switch, but you can also control it with Wi-Fi. So there's some pros and cons to that, obviously. So this switch will be kind of fun and interesting. I think on the rare occasion where we forget and leave the lights on, or maybe we're actually out of town or something and we want to turn the lights on or make sure that they're on, this gives us the ability to do that. So to kind of recap, this single pole smart switch kind of gives us the ability to have a three-way switch, with the other switch being your phone. And we don't need to have a physical switch because it would be inconvenient. But where a physical switch is both desirable and convenient, we have the ability to install a true three-way switch and still have the Wi-Fi. Of course, all this is the same company, and it should be operable all from the same app. Because of the lumber that's in the SIP here, if you haven't seen that video, there's actually lumber here, 3 inches and 3 inches, which leaves only 4 inches for a box to go in here. So we're limited to a double gang box. One of those being that Wi-Fi switch, and the other one is going to be this guy. This is not a Decora switch, but we could put a Decora switch in if we wanted one. I actually felt that having a toggle switch here might be more ergonomic. Decoras are kind of a push switch, and this is more of a toggle. But this switch is going to have a lot of work to do because it's operating the 2 banks of garage lights. In the interest of kind of ergonomics and continuity, even though we have a ton of room over there at the stairs for a switch, we're actually going to be using the same switch in that box. That way, if it's dark and you're fumbling around, muscle memory will tell you that, whatever, this is garage A and this is garage B. We stopped and picked out some lights for the exterior of the garage. We probably won't be installing these, at least today anyway. We'll wait to get through the inspection and everything goes good. We should be able to just wire those up, and we'll finally have some exterior lights on this place. So we might as well start at the top of the to-do list and start working on the switches here. We actually do need to add an outlet to the exterior and then get this outlet wired in also. But let's work on switches first, and then let's go over here and work on switches. Once that's done, we'll switch to something else. I am super paranoid to cut these wires because they were so difficult to get fished through, but we're gonna have to cut them eventually, and I guess today is that day. So let's get all this stuff trimmed back, and then we can get our box installed, and then we can start working on getting the switches all set up. New exterior lights. Light power. Call this Travelers. No joke strain relief. Wow. I really hope we don't have to fix this. It's quite an effort. Usually about 4 inches of wire is plenty. Too much is bad, not enough is bad. Going 4 inches. A little trick the electrician showed me was to basically cut off the end of your sheath and stick it on the hot wire for whatever circuit you're working with. And same thing at the panel when you're kind of trimming your home runs, because your neutrals and your grounds all go to a bus, and it doesn't matter really where those end up. It's not completely true, because on a GFI it does matter, because the GFI breaker is measuring the current or whatever between the two. But this is just good for keeping track of what's what. It's really easy to get lost, especially when you have this many wires out in a box. Same thing in the panel. When you have a bunch of home runs, even just snipping that and sliding it onto the hot gets you a good head start. So kind of thinking ahead to how this all gets wired. So we have power coming in here, and that's going to go, let's call it the bottom. I don't know that it's physically located there, to this Wi-Fi switch. And then this is the exterior lights. So this is actually going to go on the switched side. Our neutrals are all going to get hooked together, and our grounds are all going to get hooked together. So what's going to happen when you flip the switch, current's going to go through this wire, out this wire, and we're going to have exterior lights. But this hot leg also actually feeds these three-way switches. So these three-way switches, without getting into heavy detail, they basically have what's called a common wire, which is a hot wire. So we need to jumper from this hot wire to both of these terminals. And then what happens when you flip this switch, you're basically determining whether the current goes through this leg or this leg, and that's why we have what are called travelers. So they actually go on each side of the switch like this, and when you flip this switch, you're saying, this way I want the power to go through this leg, and this way I want the power to go through this leg. And there's a switch like this on both ends, and you end up with basically a toggle, and when they're both toggled off, the light is off. When one is toggled on, the light's on. You get the idea. So we need to do some jumpering off of this onto here, and then I think because of that, we're gonna have to jumper from this to our Wi-Fi switch. This shouldn't need a jumper, and these shouldn't need jumpers. And these will just get wire nutted together, and I guess that ground goes over here. If you've been paying attention, you've seen the past videos, you're starting to understand why we had the debacle with the 1222 Romex. If you haven't seen that video, jump back, there's an explanation. But we've got a situation here where I only have 4 conductors, and I need 4 to do this switch, but I also need a neutral. So there's no neutral going through this cable right here. When we get to the other side, you'll see that we ran a home run from the panel to that circuit, and it's going to bring a neutral into the box on the other end. And I'm hoping that because that neutral is going to be pigtailed, or whatever you want to call it, at the breaker, that it's going to satisfy this circuit, and the GFI that we put at the panel is not going to have an issue because it's all on the same breaker. The point is, we probably should have, if I hadn't made a mistake, is I should have put the 12-3 wire that I had originally run. It should have actually gone in this box. And I don't know, my notes weren't very good, and I put 12-2-2 in there, and here we are. So hopefully this will all work and it's all good. We do have a neutral in this box, so we're happy here. We've got a hot, and we've got a neutral and a hot in the other box. All right, enough of that jargon. Let's try to get these switches all wired up. Cool, that's pretty simple there. I kind of like that. It gives you lots of options. It's not a very deep switch. Oh wow. Pretty ridiculous that your switch has a MAC address, so there's that. So we're gonna not end up using this cover plate because we're in a double gang box, so good thing this is a Decora style. Oh, so I see. So it's not actually a physical switch, it's like a digital switch. That actually makes a ton of sense. So when you push this, it's not physically turning a physical switch. And now it's making sense to me how this is a Wi-Fi switch. So it's actually an electronic switch, duh. Whereas this one is a physical mechanical switch. Haha. All right, guys, I'm catching up here. Wasn't too bad. One down, one to go. So obviously, this video and pretty much none of our videos are tutorials, so don't take advice from us. But this switch seems like everything's wired up properly. So basically, each leg has a traveler, and its destination is actually this switch. There are numerous ways that you can wire a switch like this, and in my opinion, for this application, this is the most efficient. So basically, the power starts at the garage door. That's where it gets power from. And then you're either toggling on or off, which really is toggling this leg or that leg. And then that power finds its way over here via these traveler wires. And then they actually go outbound on the common wire to the lights. The electrically inclined folks watching will totally understand what I just said. But basically, these banks of lights up here that you see are actually powered through here, but they get their power from way over by that garage door, and that power travels across the garage to this switch. And depending on which switch is on or off, those lights turn on. It's a really convenient switch. All of you have had or have a three-way switch in your house. But anyway, that's what we're doing right here. So the other side of this box is actually going to be empty for now. But you guessed it, we're going to have another three-way switch there, and that's actually going to be for the stairs. So we're going to have some stair lighting here on the landing and then going up. And there will be another switch at the top of the stairs so that you can turn it on or off at either location. We don't want to wire the stairs up right now because we have to rebuild these stairs. So I'm trying to wire this up in somewhat of a temporary fashion so that we can get it working and we can benefit from the electricity in the garage, but not in such a way that we're married to it. So I've left a bunch of extra wire up in the rafters or in the floor joists so that if we need to reroute this wire once the new stairs are built, we can do that. Otherwise, this is basically done, and I'm gonna leave a lot of this stuff loose. I kind of learned my lesson the last time. I had everything all locked up tight, and the inspector just wanted to take a look at what I had done kind of behind the switch and behind the panel. And in the interest of not having to take it all apart, I might as well just leave it apart. I suppose I should probably explain, this wire that's sticking out here that's hooked to nothing is actually a hot wire that's on the lighting circuit. As I mentioned, we actually brought a home run over here so that we could steal the neutral. And we have to have a neutral in the box. For example, that Wi-Fi switch that we just installed over by the door has to have a neutral. And so and by code, we have to have a neutral in every box now. There are some houses where the ground was used as a neutral, and the code has changed. I'll just say that. It's gone back and forth. There's a lot of reasons for it, but in the current code, we're not allowed to use the ground for a current carrying conductor, and that's because it's a bare wire. They don't want any current going on a bare wire. So we actually have to use a shielded or a sheathed wire, and that's the white wire that you see. Gosh, I shouldn't even say white wire because there's so many colors in there, it's really easy to get confused. But anyway, this is a hot wire, so actually, this is kind of cool because if we wanted to power the stair lights off of the garage lighting circuit, we could just jump onto this hot wire, jump onto those neutrals, and we've got all the power that we need. I don't think we're gonna do that, but it's just good to know that we do have a hot leg here if we ever wanted to jump away from the circuit. This project is a beast. In fact, when we did it the first time, I was like, how do you secure wire to concrete? I mean, it wasn't intuitive to me. And the inspector was nice and actually gave us a recommendation that worked pretty stinking good. We found some zip ties that actually have a screw hole in the top of them. So we were able to use like a Tapcon or a Red Hat or whatever you want to call it and drill a hole into the concrete, zip tie the wire, and then shoot a screw through the zip tie and effectively secure the wire. We have to do that within 12 inches of these double gang boxes, and this is what we did before, so you can kind of see the zip tie hiding deep in there. I feel like a lot of these products are just specialty products to the industry, and if you're a lay person you wouldn't know that this even existed, but I believe according to the package it's actually like a Cat 5 cable mount, but they're just zip ties with a screw hole in the top. And I'll tell you what, these are pretty stinking handy to have around. I mean, it's like a zip tie with added benefits. So we'll be using these to secure each one of these wires, and well, we'll have to see if we can find our concrete screws. Before we jump into this, I want to share something that someone had commented on Instagram, and I thought it was a gem, and I can totally see now it would have saved me a ton of time. So right here where these blocks join, there actually is no stud. See these kind of indentations, not indentations, but raised sections? This indicates that there's actually a plastic stud right behind there. If you look really closely in there, you'll see that black plastic. That's actually a continuous piece of plastic for the height of a block. So inside there's this huge kind of square looking piece of plastic, and the concrete is poured around it. And those studs are actually part of that box of plastic. So they call these studs for that reason. You can screw your sheetrock to them, you can install things to them, etc. The problem is when you go to hot knife, you have to hot knife across every one of those stinking studs. And if you've hot knifed a stud before like this, you know it's extremely time consuming. Anyway, so someone on Instagram said, did you know that if you hot knife right where the blocks join, there is no stud? I didn't verify that on ours, but I have a hunch they're dead on. And if we did that, sure, the wire would have had to move down about 2 inches in this case, but man, that literally would have been probably an hour time savings on this one chase alone. So there's probably another hour. You get the point. 3/16. Yep, that's the ones. Pretty sure I just heard lightning. Last two. theory, that's the kitchen we're looking at in there. So now we just need to pull wire through there so we can connect the GFI inside to this outlet outside. That'll work. What a beautiful storm. Wow. Okay, gotta get that outlet in there. And then, boy, there's only a couple tasks left on our list. Thought I'd share a little secret with you guys that some of you probably know, but some of you might not. On your wire strippers, there's these holes that go on the lower portion, and I never understood what they were. Some of you already know, so this will be old information. But what these are for is actually trimming screws. So I've used the last plastic box that I have that has a flange on it, which is my mistake. But I do have a metal box, but I've got to bond the ground in order to use a metal box. But I have this screw in order to bond that ground, but it's too long. And I want to cut it short without screwing up the threads. And that's exactly what this is for. So I'm going to thread this in quite a ways. I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but let's call it good about there. And if we do this right, we should get a shorter screw and it won't damage the threads. So now our screw is only that long, and I might have cut it a little too short. That was a big mistake because I still have to put a wire behind that. And that's what they call bonding your ground. That little screw in the back. They do sell pigtails like with this wire with a screw attached. But I had to make my own because I don't have one of those pigtails. Well, that box is way too small for lots of reasons, so that can't stay. So first thing, Monday morning or whatever, first chance I get, I need to get the right box for that. But it's got a box around it, it's got an outlet in it. It's good enough for the moment. Well, we got really close, guys, really close. But all the things are telling me it's time to stop. It's late, hungry is long past, we're getting close to bedtime. It's dark outside, and I'm not really keen on turning the lights off and trying to do the home runs at the panel in the dark. And then we need to install the exterior boxes. And we don't have lights outside because that's what we're putting on the walls. So I think it's time to wrap this one up. Get some rest, get some food, but I think we're within reach of being ready for our inspection. It wouldn't hurt to have just a few hours to kind of walk through and triple check all the little details. Oh, see, I just remembered one. I forgot to bond the ground in that outlet. It's a metal box. See, little things like that. And that could be the difference between passing and having to have the inspector come back. I mean, it needs to be done anyway. Thanks for joining me, guys. We're getting really close to being able to flip a light switch and have the lights come on. You guys thought I forgot about the bat. I guarantee you that Alyssa didn't. Let's see if the little guy's still here. Oh, yep, I still see him there. Maybe he's waiting till nighttime. Looks like he made it through the day, though. Maybe we'll check in the morning. Maybe he's still sleeping. Maybe I should turn the lights off. Sorry, Mr. Bat. Didn't mean to wake you up.